Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Captain William Marlowe, and I'm here at Advanced International Aviation Academy in Sacramento, California. I've got a guest with me today. His name is Tejesh Reddy, and he's just finished his pilot training here with us at Advanced. And we're going to take this moment and this opportunity before he flies back home to celebrate with his family and friends to talk about his pilot journey. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
Okay, so I'd like to get to know you just a little bit. You can tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I've got some questions prepared for you. I'd love to dig in a little bit deeper and kind of explain to people what you've gone through. You have some unique experience. All right, great. So you chose to come and train at this flight school in particular. Of all the flight schools in the world, why'd you choose here?
Oh, so when I was trying to pick a flight school to do my conversion from, the New Zealand license to the US license, I chose Advanced International Aviation Academy because one was California, has like some 320 days of just pure sunshine, no bad weather, which means I knew that, there wasn't going to be a time where I'm just stuck on the ground for weeks together, not flying. Plus, I spoke to a lot of students and I tried to do my own research before coming, and they said the standards here are very high. Like, they fear the mock check ride more than the check ride because that's apparently the hardest test you give here. And Captain Augustine, who is also from the Air Force, who retired from the Air Force, is here, from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. And I know that, because he's there and he has set the standard for the school, I can expect instructors and the entire organization to follow him and, have high standards, get everything done throughout the day. And another thing that was important to me was that this school has had 0 accidents. So because in India I've heard of a lot of schools having accidents, and I wanted to go to a school where safety was a priority.
Yeah, it's important to me too.
Yeah. So that was how I ended up here.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So a follow-up question on that question. Now that you've been here and you've gotten the distinct pleasure and opportunity of flying with a bunch of great flight instructors, who's your favorite flight instructor and why is it me?
Captain, I've flown with you twice and you give the longest debriefs in the school. I was not expecting a 45-minute debrief for a 1-hour flight.
Yeah. We got to get the job done. We got to get it done right. Yeah. All right. Very good. You know how it is. You spend 10 hours on the ground studying for about an hour of flight time.
Yeah,
that's how you get good. Yeah. All right. Very cool. All right. A few other questions I want to pitch to you here. So we're talking now about advanced here. Talk a little bit more about the training environment in particular. So we talked about the areas around us and the sunshine, but talk to us your day-to-day at the school with the other students, with the instructors. What was that like for you?
Oh, so the school, because it happens to be in the city of Sacramento, public transport made life a lot easier just reaching school. Just take the bus, hop out, come to Sacramento Executive Airport. And so before every flight, I'd come at least an hour in advance, pre-flight, and, report to my instructor that we're good to go. So flying-wise, it's always been great because I practiced all my commercial maneuvers, and the standards are pretty high for the commercial maneuvers because in New Zealand, I never got to do lazy eights, chandelles, eights on pylons. Those are completely new. They don't do them in India either. So learning those was a fun experience.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some tricky ones, huh?
Yeah.
Did you have to do all of them on your check ride or just 1 or 2?
Oh, so the DP gave me an option and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the chandelle.
All right.
Yeah.
A chandelle man. I like it. All right, so we talked about why you chose Advanced here for your training, and we talked a little bit about your journey and your day-to-day here. Thanks for sharing all of that. I'm sure that we would find it very easy to chat at length about those items, but I'd like to move forward a little bit.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone who wants to do their flight training in the United States? Is this something that you would recommend for other students that are like you, that are coming from other places and would like to get a pilot license and maybe would like to do it even professionally?
I would definitely recommend coming to the US. In fact, I think most students from India prefer the US because you have so many schools here and so much opportunity here, and everyone knows this is where aviation started. And that, this is also the busiest airspace, the country with the most general aviation. So flying in the US is quite a different experience, and I would recommend it to anyone who's starting out.
Yeah.
And then, when you go to other places, you're like, oh, this is simpler than I expected. because the airspace is simpler, the radio calls are similar,
Yeah.
and yeah, flying in general, is better here.
Yeah. All right. Now I know hindsight is always 2020, and this can be a difficult kind of question for me to ask you. But if you had the opportunity to go back in time, knowing what you know now, start all over from the very beginning, would you do anything differently?
If I had to do my commercial pilot from scratch, then I'd probably want to do it in the US just for the instrument flying. Because instrument flying here and dealing with all the different airspaces is very different from New Zealand and in India. Like I've just done my conversion flying, but even after getting my instrument rating in India, I did not know there were so many different types of instrument approaches until I came to the US. I had heard about LPV, but we never did one. I did not know what an LP approach was before coming here, because we don't have those in India.
Which, by the way, is localizer performance. It has to do with your instrument equipment on the airplane, how accurate it can be as you get closer and closer to the ground.
Yeah, so because in New Zealand, the only two approaches we did were VOR approach and GPS approach. And ILS was only limited to the big international airports. So we didn't really get a chance to do them. In India, almost every airport has an ILS approach, but you don't have LPV, you don't have LPA, you don't have GLS, you don't have a lot of different things, which I only learned after coming here after more than 250 hours.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if I'd started with that, would have been much easier for me, where I'm downgrading to less number of approaches and I'm like, oh, I've done these before.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of students, they get trapped in the cycle of doing approaches that they're comfortable with, that they've done a lot of times, and they stop growing. And so having, like we have here, you listed a ton of different types of approaches. We won't go into all of those approaches now, but essentially they all use slightly different equipment inside the aircraft, being able to perform all of these different types of approaches. And the reason for that is, as an airline pilot, if you're flying in the United States, even domestically, but perhaps even internationally at some point as well, is you're going to have a large variety of different instrument approach systems or ways to shoot, or we call it shooting an instrument approach. Yeah. All right, you mentioned several different types of instrument approaches just there that you got to practice here in the States at all these different airports nearby for part of your training here. Yeah. Why do you feel like that was so valuable of an experience to you?
Because these are the approaches that I'm most likely going to be doing as an airline pilot. You almost never fly VFR as an airline pilot. You're just doing IFR. It's all IFR departures, instrument approaches, and ILS and all these various types of landings that you're going to do. Circling approaches. There's a lot of circling approaches, especially we did one at Nut Tree together. Mm-hmm. So that was new because it's not often where you have a runway that's not aligned with your approach and then you have to go all the way around, circle and land. So yeah, you don't really see that a lot outside of the US. That's, I think, something specific to the US, and this one was, some 20 miles from Sacramento?
Less, right. Gosh, yeah, maybe 20 at the most. Yeah, it's a very short hop. By the time you take off, you've got to get ready to do your instrument approach.
Oh yeah, it's so close.
It's quick.
And almost every student here has done the Nut Tree approach. Mm-hmm. So it's like one of the favorites, like, oh, you want to do circling, just go to Nut Tree, shoot an approach there. Yeah. So that was one thing. And the second thing was, knowing all these instrument approaches would help a lot in the interview. So when I'm giving an airline interview, just, knowing the different types of approaches that are available and, all the procedures and being well versed with it, rather than just, knowing about it because you read it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not theoretical knowledge. You can get in the simulator with whoever is interviewing you, and you can show them that you know exactly how to fly these because you were trained on them.
Yeah, that's true.
Now here we have a really neat program. We let commercial students get a lot of solo time for the aircraft. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of the process that we use here at that and how that it may be a little different from some of the other places you flew at?
Oh yeah, so in New Zealand, we had an online scheduling software similar to this school. But whenever you wanted to go solo, you'd always have to be signed off by an instructor, and the instructor had to wait for you to come back and land. Which means we were never, if you were ever getting late, the instructor had to stay back. There was never a case where you could land after the instructor leaves. Mm-hmm. So here in this school, you can message Alex at the front desk, let her know that, tomorrow I want to fly from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I mean, that's a lot, but you could do that.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. And you come to school, take the can, and you can fly out. And then you could be done in the middle of the night. You could finish at midnight, 2 a.m. And then come and just put the entire can, the aircraft can, into the door slot and just go home. Night cross countries are not allowed in New Zealand.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which means the school wouldn't allow you to do that in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been on a night cross country together.
Yeah.
And this is something that I asked you, that, Captain, like, if our engine failed right now,
Yeah.
where do we go?
Yes, I remember we played that scenario a couple of times along the path.
Yeah. And every time there was some runway that we could just about glide to.
Yeah.
Not the case in New Zealand,
Oh,
which is
man.
why it's not allowed, because
I
like
see.
you can't see anything on the ground at night. You don't have a lit airport that you could glide and go to. So it's kind of risky to, do night cross countries over there.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, scheduling and going solo at night, really simple, really easy here. And yeah.
You said in your New Zealand flying that the instructors had to wait on the ground for the students when they flew solo. Did that result in additional costs for you as well?
I'm not sure if there was a cost because what they would do, like for example, if you're flying on a Saturday, so we were never scheduled for a Saturday except for solo flights. So one instructor was assigned every week. He'd come on a Saturday and he'd sign us all out, and then he'd stay the entire day till we came back and finished our cross country and landed.
Got it.
So I'm not sure if how that exactly worked. I do remember that if they worked on a Saturday, they got to took a day off in the middle of the week. So maybe they were adjusting it somehow, but I'm not sure if I had to pay more. Maybe I did.
Sure. Okay. Cool. So you told us about your experience in New Zealand. What's it like here? You show up. You mentioned a little bit. You can reserve the airplane all day. We have a huge fleet. We have 42 airplanes. Maintenance is right on site. We keep everything up and running all the time, so there's almost always availability. That's neat. What were some of the other differences, like as far as how you would get fueling for the aircraft, or I don't know, anything else that you can think of?
So fueling is quite different here because in New Zealand, almost every place you land, you have to taxi to the fuel pumps and then, shut off the engine, hop out, swipe your card, take the whole hose out, climb on and fuel up. But here at Sacramento, we have fuel trucks, which was new for me because we did not have a single fuel truck anywhere in New Zealand. At least I didn't see any. So yeah, I just tell the instructor, hey, I need fuel. Or one of the instructor might be fueling a different aircraft. And I'd be like, instructor, could you please fuel my aircraft? And he'd just bring the truck over and fuel it up. So that did save a lot of time in, having to start up the aircraft, taxiing to the fuel pumps, then get out fuel, start up again, now go back to your parking and then get your taxi clearance, or usually we used to take taxi clearances from the fuel pumps, but yeah, if you had to come back, that would be a lot of extra travel.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might spend 0.1, 0.2 hobs at least every time just on taxiing to the fuel pump.
Yeah.
And now if you do that every flight for 200 hours, it's a lot.
Yeah, it could be thousands of dollars. You mentioned this thing called the Hobbs timer. So basically what that means is in the airplane, when you turn the master battery switch on, I call it the money switch.
Yeah.
This means the money starts flowing out of the account. And we like to be in the air as much as possible when the master battery is on, when the Hobbs timer is ticking over. So what you mentioned, now I know a quick conversion in my head, if we're renting an airplane, generally around, let's say $200 an hour for an airplane rental, that's about $5 a minute. So for spending that time going to and from the fuel pump, that can add up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If I do some quick math in my head, we're looking at, 5, 10, 15 minutes at the most taxiing to and from the pump, turning the engine off, turning the engine back on, battery master off, battery master back on. Over the course of 200 hours, you can be looking at close to, $9,000, $10,000.
I hadn't thought of it like that. So now that you are telling me, now I feel bad.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny. You mentioned that this school here, here at Advanced, that was one of the things that they thought of early on. They started having the instructors and the fuel truck available. They invested in all those things, and they pay us a little extra so that when the students come in, they get to save a lot of money. Their airplane is ready to go when they show up to their reservations. And it just helps to kind of keep everything smoother and keep the prices down for
because
students.
There were times like, if everybody had the same departure time and there's just one fuel pump,
Yeah.
there'd just be like a line, 2 rows of just 3-4 planes in a line waiting to fuel up.
Did everybody get out and push the airplane forward?
Yes,
Did they
because
did.
they did not
They
want to
knew that
spend
the
extra
battery
money.
master
Yes.
was the money battery was on. Cost of training. Okay, cool. Okay, so well, perfect. Since we're on the topic of cost of training, I don't know how to put this delicately. I'll send this one to you first. Do you feel like you got your money's worth here?
Oh yeah, like whatever I spent here was well worth it, because I would not have got, if I'd spent the same amount of money training in another country, I wouldn't have gotten this exposure. Like especially as a conversion student and having all this experience, like I've flown about 35 hours here.
Yeah.
So that 35-hour period was super valuable of just learning FAA regulations, learning about airspace, learning about different types of instrument approaches. And you guys use a lot of acronyms that you don't use anywhere else in the world. It was the first time hearing aviates, arrow, altimeter flames. And now that I know them, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is easier than what I had to do back there. Because there I'd just be like, okay, what are the 5 documents to carry in an aircraft? I'd be like, okay, airworthiness, registration, what else? I'm forgetting, weight and balance. So yeah, this is slightly easier that way. So it kind of helps.
Yeah, we use a tremendous number of memory aids and memory mnemonics to help us remember all of the different acronyms. Well, we turn them into acronyms to make them easy to remember. But yeah, if you open up the FAR-AIM, it's our book of federal aviation regulations. It can be a tough document to get through. There's a lot of information in there. So we try to distill it down. We create a curriculum that helps students distill things down and make them more memorable so you can learn faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So in order to come here, you had to go through a selection process. You had to get a visa. Can you tell me about what that process was like for you? Was it easy? Was it difficult? I know that there's a lot of concern about coming to the United States right now.
So for me, I got in touch with the school, and within a week I had my I-20. So with the I-20, all I had to do was submit my DS-160 and basically submit my visa application. So once that was done, I got a date about a month and a half later. Did my fingerprints, did my visa interview, and yeah, within 3 months of my I-20, I was here.
No big deal.
Yeah, but it was fine. Like, I didn't have any issues.
I'm happy to hear it. Yeah. I haven't really heard of anybody having a lot of issues. It seems like most people that... sorry, go ahead.
I have heard of people getting rejected in the visa interview.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that helped me was A, I already had a commercial license, and B, I was, telling them my dad comes to the US all the time because he has to do his currency training.
Yeah.
So they said, oh, your dad's also a pilot, so this must be, a legit course, and, you must be actually, going back to from the US to India. So
yeah,
it worked out.
Even easier for you. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk check rides. You just finished one recently. Now, check rides is another area where people can really get burned on the wait times to get a designated pilot examiner to come to them, or for the student to be able to go to the examiner and get the examination conducted. I've heard horror stories of people waiting 6 months, 12 months for a single check ride. What was that experience like for you? How long did you wait?
Not long at all. So in the time that I've been here, the examiner has come thrice. So, I mean, I knew that if I just wait 15-20 more days, the examiner will come back and then I can give my check ride then.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, they schedule you for the check ride after you clear the end of course.
Right.
So, I finished my EOC on Saturday.
What is our end of course here? Can you explain that?
So, end of course is basically a mock check ride where they go over the entire grounds with you. Any type of question that the examiner can ask you, they want you to be ready. Then you go to the flight, show them all the maneuvers, maybe 2-3 times, just so that you know that you can do them. And then once they clear you for the check ride, they sign you in, okay, you're good to go for the check ride. That's when they'll assign you that, okay, the examiner's coming between these dates, and on this day, on Monday, you can give your check ride. So for me, I finished on Saturday, Tuesday I had my check ride.
Beautiful.
It was
Feels
couldn't
good.
have been better.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. Yeah, I had a few like that as well.
Yeah,
that were really quick turnarounds, and it's perfect. You're training so hard and you're training so frequently, and your skills get so good. But we know in aviation, it's so skill oriented, especially when you're doing your commercial, your commercial pilot check. All the maneuvers that you're doing, the performance landings, the performance takeoffs, the diversions, the emergencies, this is highly, highly skill based, and you want to be really fresh and really, really up to date. So being able to have all that currency and proficiency going into the check ride, having that tiny little window where you're going straight from your mock check ride, or sorry, we'll back up, going straight from your training to your mock check ride, which we call our end of course, our EOC, and then having only a wait time, a turnover time of a few days, 24, 48, 72 hours, straight into the cockpit with an examiner to do all the same things.
Yeah.
It doesn't give your skills any time to degenerate or to rot before that.
Yeah, I did not feel rusty for my check rides.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really great. Okay, cool. All right, one more topic I'd like to talk a little bit about is the living accommodations that we provide for students here. I feel pretty proud of them. I was able to see them somewhat recently, and I was totally blown away. I was really impressed with how nice they are. But don't take it from me. I don't live in them. What has it been like for you?
The accommodation was pretty good here because I have heard of these stories of you live in some small town somewhere in a corner, and you may not have any transportation, so you might have to buy a bike and cycle your way to school. Now, luckily, we didn't have any of that. We are in the heart of Sacramento. The accommodation was pretty good, and the bus stop was right outside. So just catch the bus, come here in like 15 minutes. So that was a great experience. I have no complaints about that. Yeah.
Now, I saw some pictures of these apartments, and I saw like pools and lounging areas, and it's like a resort. Tell me a little bit more about it.
One of the regrets I have is that I haven't used the pool yet. We've played volleyball.
Too busy passing check rides.
So we play volleyball on the weekends, we play basketball. Those are all inside, so it's pretty accessible. You just walk over and start playing with your friends. The pool, I haven't gone yet, so you might miss out on that.
Yeah, it's all right. You have your swimming license here in the United States. It's a big deal. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So I'd like to ask you just one more question. I've given you a lot of I don't know, tough questions. I don't know if they're tough questions for you. You handled them really well, but I want to ask you kind of one more questions, a little more open-ended, a little more meaningful, perhaps. Something you get to take home with you, a memory that you get to take home forever. What's something, maybe a moment of your flight training or a moment, an experience that you had here that you know that you're going to take home and you're going to remember forever?
Oh, so there's one moment that I will not forget for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So before I could do my solo flights in the US, I needed to do a solo checkout so that the instructors are sure that I know what I'm doing and I can handle everything. So since I had to do night flying as well for my commercial requirements, I went out with my instructor for a solo checkout at night. So we took off in the middle of the night.
Okay.
We went to Rio Vista. That's about some 15 miles. Pretty close by.
Yeah, pretty short distance.
And he said, okay, take me to Rio Vista and show me some landings. So once I did my first landing, I did a full stop. He said, do a short wheel takeoff. Did a short wheel takeoff. And as soon as we hit about 800 feet and I'm turning crosswind, he cut the power. He said, simulating an emergency. So now that was...
What'd you do?
So that was the first time in my life I ever had a simulated engine failure in the crosswind. I've done them in the upwind and I know, just go straight ahead. I've done them downwind, which is a power of 180. But I'd never done one in the crosswind. The issue is it was also nighttime. And I could not see the runway. All I could see were a parallel line of dots. And I knew that must be the runway because I just took off from there.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just aiming for those dots.
Yeah.
Just that row of dots, the parallel lines, and side slipping my way, entire way down from 800 feet down to the ground. And we were about the middle of the runway, and then captain was like, hey, I think you can make it go around. So yeah, that is something I'm never gonna forget.
Yeah, you earned a badge of honor on that one. Yeah, very cool. That's a great story. Yeah, shoot, I'm gonna remember that story forever. That's a good one. I had a similar experience in my interview flight here. Almost the same thing, but it wasn't at nighttime, so you got a one up on me there. That was very impressive. Well done. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, and I wish you luck in the future. We'll stay in contact. I'm interested to see where you go and what you do. Yeah, it's been great having you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Captain.
You're welcome. My pleasure. From all of us here at AIAA, to all of you at home watching us all over the world, Godspeed and good night.